I still remember the weight of the air that morning, thick, cold, and strangely quiet. The gate slid open behind me, and for the first time in 2 years, I stepped into a world that felt both familiar and foreign. My name is Elena, and the day I was released from prison should have been the happiest day of my life. But instead, it became the beginning of a truth that would tear me apart, piece by piece. 2 years. 2 years away from everyone. 2 years for a crime I didn't even commit. People say prison changes you. Maybe it does. But what really changes you is the silence afterward. The silence when you walk out expecting someone to be waiting but no one is. My husband, Daniel, didn't come. My sister, Mia, didn't come. Not even a message, not even a note. But I told myself they had their reasons. Maybe they didn't get the release date. Maybe something happened at home. Maybe they planned to surprise me. I forced myself to stay hopeful. Hope was the only thing I had left. During the long nights behind bars, I would picture our little house. The white curtains I chose, the garden I planted, the small wooden table where Daniel and I had our morning coffee. That house was my anchor, my reason to keep breathing. I took a bus home, holding the small paper bag with a few things they let me leave with. Clothes that didn't feel like mine anymore. Shoes that had walked through so much disappointment. And a heart that desperately wanted to believe my life wasn't shattered beyond repair. As the bus rolled through familiar streets, I kept rehearsing the moment I would walk in. Daniel's face lighting up. Mia running to hug me. Maybe tears. Maybe laughter. Anything but what was slowly creeping into my mind. The possibility that I no longer belonged in the world I once called home. When the bus finally stopped near my neighborhood, my hands trembled. I stepped off and inhaled deeply, feeling the crisp air brush against my face. Everything looked the same. Children playing, neighbors chatting, dogs barking in the distance. But I felt different, as if I was walking through a life that used to be mine but no longer recognized me. And then I saw it. A house. My breath caught in my throat. The front door was painted a different color. There were new curtains. A car I didn't recognize was parked in the driveway. Small changes. But they hit me like punches. I whispered to myself, maybe Daniel renovated while I was gone. Maybe he wanted a fresh start for us. But that strange feeling in my chest, the one that had been growing since the moment I walked out, tightened. Something wasn't right. Something was waiting for me. And I wasn't ready for it. I reached for the door, heart pounding, hope and fear fighting in every corner of my mind. The moment I stepped inside, everything I believed in, everything I fought to return to, shattered. And the real story began. The first thing that hit me was the scent. Perfume. Sweet, floral, unfamiliar. Not mine. Definitely not mine. I froze in the doorway, gripping the handle as if letting go would send the entire house collapsing around me. My heart began racing, and the small paper bag nearly slipped from my hands. I took one cautious step inside, whispering, "Daniel!" No answer. The living room looked polished, organized, redesigned. The throw pillows were different. The pictures on the wall had been rearranged. A new rug lay in the center. Something expensive, something I would never buy. I swallowed hard. Maybe Mia redecorated. Maybe she tried to make the place feel fresh for when I came home. But then I noticed something that made my stomach twist painfully. Framed photo on the shelf. Inside it, Daniel. And a woman I had never seen before. A woman with long brown hair, her head resting on his shoulder, both smiling like they had never known hardship or heartbreak. My knees almost gave out. No. Daniel would never do that. He wouldn't betray me while I was locked away, crying myself to sleep, fighting every day to keep my sanity. I reached for the frame with trembling fingers, tears already burning my eyes. My hand shook so violently I almost dropped it. But it wasn't the picture that destroyed me the most. It was the date written on the back in Daniel's handwriting. 1 year anniversary. Couldn't have imagined life without you. 1 year. I had only been gone 2. He replaced me halfway through my sentence. I couldn't breathe. It felt like the walls were closing in, squeezing the air out of my lungs. I staggered backward and pressed my hand against my mouth to silence the sob that clawed its way out. I thought of all the nights I begged God to keep Daniel strong, to help him wait for me. I thought of every letter I sent him, all unanswered. I thought of the promises we whispered before my arrest, promises he clearly threw away the moment my world collapsed. Suddenly I heard footsteps upstairs. Like, free. Definitely not Daniel's. Panic. Should I leave? Should I confront them? Should I pretend none of this was happening? But before I could decide, a voice floated down the stairs. A woman's voice. Laughing. Then I heard Daniel's voice answer her. Casual, relaxed, full of warmth I had spent years craving. Babe, did you see where I put my watch? Babe. A word he used to call me every morning. My vision blurred. My heart cracked open. My hands turned cold. Rage and heartbreak fought inside me, twisting into something unbearable. Before I could move, he appeared at the top of the stairs. Daniel froze. His face went pale. His smile disappeared instantly. And the woman behind him peered over his shoulder, confused. He whispered my name like he was seeing a ghost. Elena. I didn't know what to say. But I knew one thing. This wasn't my home anymore. This wasn't my husband anymore. And something deeper, something darker was happening behind the scenes. Daniel ran down the stairs, his eyes wide. His hands raised like he was afraid to get too close. The woman behind him stayed frozen on the steps, clutching the railing as if she was the one who had been wronged. Elena, wait, let me explain, Daniel said, breathless. Explain. Explain what? How he replaced me. How he erased me. How he built a new life inside the walls I dreamed of returning to. I stepped back instinctively. His presence felt foreign, heavy, unwanted. I scanned his face, searching for the man I once loved, but all I saw was fear and guilt. The woman finally came down, slowly. She looked at me the way someone looks at a stranger showing up uninvited. Daniel, who is she? She whispered. Who am I? I wanted to laugh. I wanted to scream. I'm his wife, I said, my voice shaking but loud enough to echo. The woman went still, as if her entire world tilted. She wasn't expecting that. She wasn't expecting me. What are you talking about? She asked Daniel, her voice rising. You told me she left you. You said she abandoned you before things even fell apart. I felt my heart rip again. Daniel pressed his hands against his forehead. It's complicated. I didn't think she'd come back this soon. This soon. I served every day of my sentence. He never visited. Never sent a letter. Never sent a message. And now he talked like I was a burden arriving early. Suddenly, something inside me clicked. My sister, Mia. She had disappeared from my life too. Not one letter. Not one visit. The entire 2 years, she ignored every attempt I made to reach her. I turned to Daniel slowly. Where is Mia? Did something happen to her? Daniel stiffened. The woman looked away. And then I knew. Something did happen. But not to Mia. Me. Daniel sighed heavily. Elena. Your sister moved in with us after you were sent away. She helped with the house. With everything. My blood ran cold. My sister lived in my house. With my husband. While I was fighting to survive behind bars. I grabbed the back of a chair to steady myself. Did she know you were with someone else? Daniel couldn't meet my eyes. And that was answer enough. My own sister didn't just abandon me. She betrayed me. The woman, still clueless to the deeper story, finally spoke. Daniel, I don't want to be involved in this. You told me everything was finished with her. Everything. Finished. My marriage. My trust. My relationships. Destroyed the moment I was locked away. And then the final blow came. Daniel said quietly. Elena. Mia is living with her fiancé now. But yes, she knows. I felt my stomach drop. My sister knew. And she didn't care. The silence in the room grew heavy. My thoughts tangled into knots of confusion and pain. The betrayal was too big, too layered, too cruel. But beneath all that heartbreak, Another feeling began to grow. Suspicion. Mia cut me off abruptly. Daniel erased me completely. And the timing matched perfectly with my imprisonment. It wasn't abandonment. It wasn't weakness. It wasn't emotional collapse. Felt like something planned. Something intentional. Something bigger than either of them had admitted. And I suddenly wondered, what if I wasn't just betrayed? What if I was framed? I walked out of the house that used to be mine without saying another word. I couldn't cry anymore. Not because I was strong, but because something inside me had gone completely numb. My legs moved on their own, carrying me down the street as Daniel called my name over and over again, but I didn't turn back. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay there. Every step felt heavier, but a strange clarity was forming inside me. Something about this entire situation felt wrong. Too wrong to simply be life moving on. I kept replaying everything in my head. Daniel's face when he saw me. The woman's confusion. My sister's sudden disappearance from my life. Her silence for 2 years. Daniel's untouched letters. No visits. No support. People don't cut you off so completely unless they want to erase you. But why would the two people I trusted most want to erase me? Cold chill ran down my spine. The night I was arrested suddenly came flooding back into my mind. I had come home late from work, exhausted and already drowning in the stress of my job. The police were waiting outside my house. They said they received a report, a tip, about fraud tied to my name. Fraud. Money I never touched, accounts I never opened, signatures I never wrote. That entire night was a blur of officers, accusations and fear. But the strangest part. Daniel wasn't surprised. He didn't panic. He didn't fight for me. He sat quietly, looking at the floor, shaking his head as if he knew this was coming. At the time I told myself he was just shocked, overwhelmed. But now it felt like something else. I remembered the moment they asked if anyone else had access to my office computer. I looked at Daniel. He hesitated. And then he said, "Her sister sometimes helps her. Maybe she knows something." That was the first time I felt something crack between us. But I didn't think much of it. Now, standing in the middle of a dark street with nothing but the clothes on my back, the pieces started fitting together. Why did Mia stop answering my letters right after Daniel accused her? Why did Daniel never visit me? Why did Mia move into my house? Why did she stay close to Daniel, even after getting engaged? Why did she know about the girlfriend and stay silent? Why did someone tip off the police using information only my family could know? My heart began pounding violently. It felt like the truth was staring at me. Loud, unavoidable, terrifying. What if Daniel and Mia knew more about my arrest than they ever admitted? What if they weren't just bystanders? What if they were the reason I went to prison? I walked without feeling the cold wind whipping against my face. My mind was spiraling faster and faster as memories resurfaced. Things I had ignored. Things I had pushed away because I loved them too much to believe they could hurt me. The missing savings account. The arguments between Daniel and Mia I wasn't supposed to hear. The locked drawers. The sudden vacations they took without telling me. The way Mia used to defend Daniel in every argument, even when she barely knew the details. A terrible thought struck me so hard I stopped walking. What if Daniel and Mia had been together long before I went to prison? The idea felt so outrageous, so revolting that I wanted to shake it off, but the more I thought about it, the more the timeline made sense. Too much sense. Felt dizzy. I sat down on a bench, shaking violently. The street lights flickered above me. I pressed my hands against my face, trying to breathe. If this was true, if they really betrayed me like this, if they framed me, if they stole my life, then everything I had lost, my reputation, my job, my marriage, my freedom, wasn't an accident. It was a setup. A betrayal so deep it didn't just break my heart. It destroyed my entire identity. I stared up at the dark sky, teeth clenched. If they thought I would stay quiet forever, if they thought prison broke me, they were wrong. Pain can crush a person. but it can also rebuild them into something unstoppable. And I was ready to find the truth, even if the truth burned everything left standing. I slept on a park bench that night, or maybe slept isn't the right word. My eyes stayed open, staring at the stars while my mind replayed my entire life in loops of doubt and suspicion. At sunrise, when the world began to wake, I finally made my decision. If I wanted answers, there was only one place to start. I had to find Mia. She knew something. Maybe everything. My sister wasn't just distant. She was hiding. And the fact that Daniel knew exactly where she lived confirmed it. They were still in each other's lives. Too closely. I made my way to her fiancé's house. When I reached the neighborhood, I noticed something strange. Mia's car wasn't there. But her fiancé's truck was. And he was outside smoking nervously. He looked up and nearly dropped his cigarette. "Elena, I thought you were gone," I finished for him. A lot of people thought that. He shifted uncomfortably. Something was off. Very off. "Is Mia here?" he asked. His jaw tightened. "No. She left early this morning." "Where did she go?" I don't know." Terrible lie. He wouldn't even look at me. My voice lowered. "Did Mia tell you I was getting out?" He hesitated. Then quietly. "Yes." "And did Daniel tell her?" More hesitation. Then, "Yes." My stomach tightened. I stepped closer. "Did she seem upset?" He swallowed hard. "She panicked. She was packing bags. Said she needed to fix something before you came looking. Then she drove off." Fix something. Before I came looking. My blood ran cold. "What is she hiding?" I demanded. He looked like he was debating whether to tell me. His eyes darted around nervously. Then he finally whispered. "She and Daniel. They were closer than you think." The world tilted beneath me. My throat tightened painfully. "What do you mean closer?" He exhaled shakily. I didn't want to believe it. I tried to ignore it. But the late-night calls. The secret meetings. The messages she hid. "Elena, I think she and Daniel had something going on before you went inside." There it was. The truth I feared. The truth that felt too evil to imagine. Now spoken out loud. Felt sick. He continued, voice weak. "And the money. She suddenly had money she couldn't explain." My heart stopped. "What money?" I demanded. "She said it was from a business deal." "But what business deal?" He hesitated again, then said the words that changed everything. "She transferred $15,000 to Daniel 2 days before your arrest." A cold wave rushed over my entire body. My heart, already shattered, now felt like it was turning to stone. $15,000. The exact amount involved in the fraud case pinned on me. I staggered backward. My breath caught. My head spun. I whispered, "Do you know which account she used?" He shook his head. "But I know one thing. Mia deleted every message between her and Daniel the night you were arrested." Deleted messages. Secret money. Sudden closeness. Panic when she heard I was coming home. This wasn't just betrayal. This was conspiracy. I felt something shift deep inside me. A cold, sharp clarity. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Purpose. If they framed me. If they stole my life. If they laughed while I rotted in prison. Then I wasn't just going to expose the truth. I was going to dismantle the entire lie they built. And they would watch everything they created fall apart. Piece by piece. I didn't confront Daniel. I didn't chase Mia. Not yet. Revenge isn't loud. Revenge isn't rushed. Revenge is patient. Precise. Quiet. And I had been silent for 2 years. I knew how to wait. First I needed proof. Real undeniable proof. Not suspicion. Not emotion. Evidence. I went to my old workplace. The company where the fraud incident happened. I didn't think they'd let a former inmate walk inside. But surprisingly they did. The manager, Mr. Hale, looked at me with pity, not anger. "Elena. I'm sorry," he said gently. I always felt something wasn't right about your case. My heart tightened. Then why didn't you say anything? I tried, he whispered. But someone higher up insisted the evidence was solid. Who? He hesitated before answering. A man named Carter. Said he received anonymous documentation. Said he verified your signature. Anonymous. Documentation. Signatures. I almost laughed. Bitterly, brokenly. Can I see the documents? Yes. He nodded slowly and brought me into a small office. He pulled out a folder, my case file. The papers inside were photocopies, but the moment I saw the signature, I felt heat surge through my body. It looked like mine, but not exactly. I knew my handwriting better than anyone. My signature curves naturally. This one had hesitation. Tiny stops. Micro movements that happen when someone is copying, not signing. Forged. Just like I suspected. But then came the real shock. One of the attached files had tracked metadata. And in the corner, faded but still visible, was the originating device name. APC-04. My sister's computer. I stared so long that Mr. Hale asked if I was okay. Well, I wasn't okay. I was dangerously focused. Proof 1. The fraud file came from Mia's computer. Proof 2. She transferred $15,000 to Daniel days before my arrest. Proof 3. They deleted messages between them the night I was taken away. Proof 4. My letters were blocked by Daniel, not returned by accident. Piece by piece, the truth was building itself into a mountain of betrayal I could no longer ignore. But I needed more. I needed the one thing that would make their entire lie collapse. I needed their confession. And I knew exactly how to get it. I wasn't the same woman they sent to prison. 2 years had taught me resilience, patience, and how people reveal themselves when they believe no one is watching. The plan formed quickly and clearly. I would use Mia's panic against her. I would make Daniel feel cornered. And I would make both of them believe the truth was already out, so they would expose themselves trying to cover their tracks. I borrowed a phone from Mr. Hale, an old work phone with no caller ID, and stepped outside. My hands were steady. My heartbeat calm. My voice cold. First call Mia. She picked up on the second ring, breathless. Hello. Who is this? Kept my tone low. You know exactly who. He gasped. Elena, I can explain. No need, I cut in. I already know everything. Silence. Terrified silence. Perfect. Second call, Daniel. He answered quickly. Elena. Elena, please listen. You should talk to Mia, I said. She confessed more than you think. His breathing stopped. Then the final strike. I'm meeting the prosecutor tomorrow. I hung up before he could reply. I didn't actually have a meeting. Not yet. But fear makes guilty people reckless. Fear makes them run. Fear makes them talk. And by tonight I knew one of them, maybe both, would seek me out. Not to apologize. Not to fix things. But to protect themselves. And that was exactly what I needed. Because if there's one thing prison taught me, it's this. A guilty person will tell the truth, the moment they think the lie is collapsing. And I was about to make their entire world collapse. I didn't go far. I waited in the only place I knew they'd never expect. The small cafe 3 blocks from my house. The same cafe where we used to meet on Sunday mornings. The place that always smelled like cinnamon and warm bread. The place they probably avoided now because it reminded them of the woman they buried. I chose a corner table. Ordered tea I never touched. And waited. 30 minutes later I saw her. Mia. She burst inside the cafe like a storm, scanning the room desperately. Her hair was messy, her face pale, her hands trembling. She spotted me and froze. For a moment I thought she might run back outside. But instead she walked toward me slowly, guilt weighing down every step. She sat down without being invited. Elena, her voice cracked. Please just listen. I didn't speak. I wanted her to feel the silence. To drown in it. She started crying. Loud, dramatic sobs that turned heads. I never meant for things to go this far, she whispered. I stared at her, expressionless. What did you mean to happen then? She flinched. Elena. You have to understand. Daniel was lonely. He said you pushed him away. He said the marriage was falling apart. So you comforted him? Asked coldly. She wiped her tears, nodding weakly. It was a mistake. We were confused. It was only emotional at first. I slammed my hand lightly on the table. Her entire body jerked. At first, I repeated. So it wasn't just emotional. Her lips trembled. No. I felt a deep ache spread in my chest. Not heartbreak anymore. Just confirmation of the betrayal I already knew was real. But I wasn't done. Why did you stop answering my letters? Asked. She looked down. Daniel said it would be better for you. If we gave you space. Space, I said, emotionless. Not abandonment. She started crying harder. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did, I whispered. Every day. Then I leaned in slightly. And the money, Mia. The $15,000 you sent Daniel before my arrest. What was that for? Her eyes widened in shock. She wasn't expecting that. She shook her head violently. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie, I said softly. Lying is what got you into this mess. She broke. Completely. It was supposed to be temporary, she cried. Daniel asked me for help. He said he needed money to fix a problem at your job. He promised he would pay me back. My jaw tightened. Did you ever ask what the problem was? She hesitated. He said someone was digging into your accounts, that he needed the money to shift some things around. He said it was to protect you. Protect me. The floor felt like it was tilting beneath us. And so you sent him money using your computer? Her head snapped up. How do you know that? Because your computer created the fraud file. 'Cause you helped frame me. Because you were too blind to see Daniel was using you. But I didn't say those words. Not yet. Mia, I said, did Daniel ever tell you where that money actually went? She shook her head. Before I could respond, the cafe door opened again. Daniel. He walked in looking frantic, sweating, eyes darting around until he saw us. He rushed over. Elena, don't listen to her, he shouted. She's unstable. She's lying. Mia turned to him, furious. Unstable. You told me you loved me. You said Elena abandoned you. The entire cafe went silent. I sat back and watched. Daniel's eyes widened. Mia, stop talking. But Mia was done protecting him. Betrayal had finally turned on itself. You told me the marriage was over. You said she wouldn't come back. Mia yelled. You told me to send the money because she was already under investigation. People were staring now. Phones were out. Voices whispering. Daniel grabbed her arm. We're leaving. Now. But she pulled away. I'm tired of lying for you. And then she said the sentence that ended everything. Just tell her the truth. Tell her you were the one who moved the money, you forged the files, you tipped off the police. The cafe erupted. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Daniel froze. His face drained of color. And for the first time he realized. It was over. Daniel tried to speak, but the words tangled in his throat. He stuttered, trying to explain, trying to twist the story the way he always did. But the walls were closing in on him. Elena, please. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, I said, standing up slowly. My voice wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. The truth had already echoed through the entire cafe. I looked at Mia. My sister, the person I once trusted with every secret. She sat there trembling, finally realizing the weight of what she had helped create. She wasn't evil. She was weak, desperate for love, easy to manipulate. But weakness doesn't erase consequences. I turned to Daniel. You framed me, I said quietly. You ruined my life. You took everything I had. My job, my reputation, my freedom. He swallowed hard, tears forming. I didn't want to hurt you. I just panicked. The company was investigating me for missing funds. I thought if I moved it under your name, you could save yourself, I finished. He nodded. And Mia? She didn't know the full story, he said. I told her it was to protect you. I didn't think she'd question it. Mia broke into tears. I thought I was helping you. He told me you were in trouble. I stared at both of them, the man who shattered me and the sister who helped him do it. Then I said something that surprised even me. I forgive you. They both froze. Forgiveness doesn't mean healing. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiveness doesn't erase the damage. Forgiveness is simply the moment you decide their actions no longer control your life. But forgiveness, I continued, doesn't mean freedom from consequences. I pulled a small recorder from my pocket, one I brought from my old workplace. It had captured every word they said. Daniel lunged forward, but I stepped back. No, you don't get to silence me again. The cafe owner stepped between us. People were watching, recording, whispering. I'm not going to the police, I said. Daniel exhaled in relief. But I am going to the company. His relief vanished instantly. You framed an employee. You stole company funds. And you dragged me down with you. They deserve the truth. Daniel's legs buckled. He dropped into a chair, defeated. Then I turned to Mia. You need to decide who you want to be from now on, the woman he used, or someone better. She sobbed into her hands. I didn't comfort her. I walked out of the cafe without looking back. Outside, the air felt cold but cleansing. The sky was brighter than it had been in months. My steps felt lighter. Not because everything was fixed, but because I finally had my life back. The next few weeks unfolded quickly. Daniel was fired immediately after the company heard the recording. An investigation began, one he could not talk his way out of. His new girlfriend left him. His reputation collapsed. Mia moved out, broke off her engagement, and tried to apologize 100 times. I didn't hate her, but I couldn't let her back into my life. Some boundaries aren't meant to be crossed twice. As for me, I found a small apartment, got a new job with the help of Mr. Hale, started rebuilding piece by piece. But the biggest change wasn't external. It was internal. People think prison breaks you. But sometimes prison teaches you who really belongs in your life. I learned another lesson too. One I carry every day. Not everyone who stands beside you is on your side. And sometimes the people you trust most are the ones who stand to gain the most from your downfall. But the strongest moment of my life was the day I walked away. Not from prison, not from betrayal, but from the versions of them that lived in my heart. 'Cause moving on, that was my real revenge. And my real freedom.